In my past life, my sister was adopted by a wealthy family, while I was adopted by a cleaner, but that rich family was plagued by fierce infighting. The parents were cold and distant. Her older brother bullied her constantly. She ended up getting thrown out with nothing. My family, however, was really harmonious. What's more, the young master of that rich family fell for me, a poor, pure and kind girl. It was all just like an idle drama plot. My sister killed me out of bitter hatred, and we both traveled back to the day we were to be adopted. This time she lunged into the cleaner's arms first. Sis, it's my turn to be the drama lead this time. But she has no idea. The reason a female lead is the lead never has anything to do with her family background. My sister and I both reincarnated back to the day we got adopted from the orphanage. Two families were standing in the orphanage director's office. The Gu family and the Zhou family. All three members of the Gu family were impeccably dressed. The man was in a crisp suit. The woman was dripping with expensive jewelry. Their only son, Gu Zhiyue, was wearing a high school uniform, but on his feet were a pair of global limited edition co-branded sneakers. This was the most prominent Gu family in Jiangcheng. Mr. Gu was a top business tycoon. His companies contributed the largest tax revenue in Jiangcheng. Mrs. Gu was a famous socialite. She often appeared at various jewelry auctions and charity galas, mingling with A-list celebrities. Their son Gu Zhiyue, on the other hand, was known as the Crown Prince of Jiangcheng. In comparison, the Zhou family next to them looked totally unkempt. Both the husband and wife had hands, covered in marks from years of manual labor. They were probably wearing their nicest clothes, but there were still unwashed sweat stains on them. According to the director's introduction, the couple both worked at Jiangcheng No. 1 High School. The husband was a school custodian. The wife was a cleaner. In my past life, my sister Shimon chose the Gu family without hesitation. But right at this moment, she acted as if she was scared of being left behind, and dove straight into the cleaner's arms. Mom, take me with you, please. I want to be your daughter. From now on, my name will be Zhou Shimon. Amid my sister's excited chattering, I walked over to the Gu family. Just like that, the adoption choices were finalized. We were taken away by our respective families. When we left the orphanage, I heard the director muttering to herself in confusion. Shimon has always been super ambitious and competitive. Of all the adopters that came before, if they were dressed even a little plain, she wouldn't even glance at them. Now that a real rich family is here, why is she not choosing them instead? The director didn't understand the reason, but I knew exactly what was going on. In the last life, my sister did everything to get adopted by the Gus first, and became Gu Shimon. She thought what awaited her was a life as a little princess, not to mention having a brother like Gu Zhiyue, the Jiangcheng crown prince himself. Everyone knows rich young master and adopted daughter is the most common trope in romance novels. Living under the same roof, it's easy to spend all days together and develop romantic feelings. But Shimon never expected Gu Zhiyue wasn't gentle as an adopted brother at all. On the contrary, he hated her guts. I hate snobs more than anything in this world. Don't think I can't tell. A scheming gold digger like you only wants our family's money, right? At home, Gu Zhiyue picked on Gu Shimon all the time. At school, he bullied her with his group of followers. Even if the Gu parents found out about this, they would only give him a mild, meaningless scolding. They didn't like Shimon at all. The reason they adopted her was only because a fortune teller told Mr. Go adopting a daughter would bring him 10 years of great luck. Between an adopted daughter and their biological son, the Gu parents obviously favored their own son. While Gu Zhiyue was bullying Shimon, he was super nice to me, who was adopted by the Zhou family. He saw me receiving student grants, getting the top exam scores every time, going to school during the day, helping my mom with cleaning work at night. Even though life was really hard for me, I never complained about anything. Zhou Shichu, this girl is really kind of interesting, just like what happens in idol dramas. The unruly rich young master fell in love with the tough, pure-hearted poor girl. Later, Mr. and Mrs. Gu passed away. When the inheritance was being divided, Gu Zhiyue brought a whole team of lawyers. Shimon was completely set up and got nothing. She was thrown out penniless, not getting a single cent of the family fortune. A few months later, Gu Zhiyue married me. He even said publicly at our wedding, "Zhou Shichu, everything I have is yours from now on." Too bad I never got to enjoy Gu Zhiyue's assets, because a few days later, driven to desperation and madness by the shock, Shiman hit me with her car and killed me. Now that I'm reborn in this lifetime, my little sister chose the Joe family without hesitation. They don't have massive family wealth, but there's no infighting or scheming either. She gets to receive her parents' full, undivided love and grow up in a happy family. On top of that, her life experience will make the rich young master pity and protect her, and eventually get a fairy tale grand wedding. She smiled and said to me, "Sis, this time it's my turn to be the idolized princess. You, on the other hand, should get a taste of everything I went through." Shiman's prediction was right on point. She even looked past me and gazed at the area behind my back. I knew Joe Shiman was right there, bending over, mopping the floor. "Isn't that Joe Shiman? Why is she mopping the floor?" One of the lackeys told Gujiyue. "Joe Shiman's mom works as a cleaner at the school. She goes to class during the day and helps her mom with work every night." A flicker of shock crossed Gujiyue's eyes, followed by a trace of sympathy. He yelled at Joe Shiman, "Hey, it's freezing out, stop mopping." "No one's gonna check anyway." Joe Shiman straightened up, her black hair falling over her shoulders. A stubborn look on her delicate face. She shook her head. "That's not okay. If someone comes to check and finds the floor isn't clean, my mom will get 100 yen deducted from her pay. I know that. 100 yuan is nothing to a young master like you, but it's enough to cover my food expenses for a whole week at home." With that, Joe Shiman bent over and kept mopping. Joe Shiman's little scheme was super obvious, honestly. Out of all the floors to mop, she deliberately chose the spot right in front of Gujiyue. She even let her hair down on purpose and picked the perfect angle to make herself look as pretty as possible. Too bad Gujiyue totally fell for it, just as expected. Gujiyue walked up to her, pulled Joe Shiman up in one motion, snatched the mop cloth from her hand, and tossed it to his lackeys. "You guys, help her mop the rest of the floor." He glanced at Joe Shiman's red, frost-bitten hands, thought for a second, then draped his own jacket over her shoulders. "It's getting late. How are you going to get home later?" "By bike." "You're riding a bike in this freezing weather." He then said in an unquestionable tone, "Wait downstairs. I'll have my driver take you home." Joe Shiman was escorted away by Gujiyue before leaving. She even snuck a look back and gave me, who was all disheveled, a mocking smile. A little while later, everyone left, leaving me alone by the sink. I struggled to get to my feet and wiped the water dripping from my hair with my sleeve. A cold, clear voice came from behind me. "Use this." I turned around. It was Song Xiaoli, our class monitor. She was a very quiet, reserved girl who studied extremely hard and wore long sleeves no matter the season. In my past life, she also helped Joe Shiman when she was being bullied. She handed Joe Shiman a towel and urged her to expose Gujiyue's bullying. But Joe Shiman swatted her hand away. "What do you know? He's my brother." Back then, Joe Shiman was still daydreaming about making Gujiyue fall for her, so Song Xiaoli stopped meddling in her business after that and went back to her quiet, solitary routine. Later, right before graduation, Song Xiaoli committed suicide. That was when we found out her family was extremely poor. Her grandma had been bedridden for years. Her dad was a gambling addict who not only abused her constantly, but also planned to sell her to pay off his debts. Right now, she was standing next to me, holding a clean towel in her hand. I froze for a second. I took it, and she didn't say anything more, then turned around and left. She probably thought there was nothing to talk about with a rich young lady from the Gu family like me. Just as her figure was about to disappear from view, I suddenly spoke up, "Monitor." She stopped in her tracks. I scratched my head. I just transferred here, and I don't know my way around yet. Where's the cafeteria? Can you show me the way?" There were 4 dishes and 1 soup on the cafeteria table. Braised pork ribs, steamed egg with minced pork, cola, chicken wings, stir-fried choy sum, and clam and winter melon soup. No wonder this is the best high school in Zhangcheng. The cafeteria food has always been really impressive. I scratched my head again. Oops, I ordered way too much by accident. Wasting food is shameful, right? You probably haven't had dinner yet either. Let's eat together. Song Xiaoli was silent for a moment, then finally picked up her chopsticks. She started eating, taking tiny little bites. I stared at her thin wrist poking out of her school uniform sleeve. It looked so frail. Honestly, a girl like our class monitor is the one who really needs help. But they aren't pretty, and they never cry out when they're hurt. So they just end up as worthless weeds in people's teenage memories. They don't even qualify to be the female lead of a romance drama. In this life, I will not only save myself, but save her too. Once I made up my mind, I spoke up, "Oh man, conic sections are so freaking hard. I don't understand a single bit of it. Class monitor, you're such a good student. Why don't you tutor me?" Song Xiaoli had braised pork rib in her mouth, looking totally shocked, like she was thinking, do we even know each other that well? I didn't give her a chance to turn me down. I slung an arm around the class monitor's shoulder and said cheerfully, "It's settled then. I'll pay you for the tutoring, okay?" I gave the class monitor part of my living allowance, calling it an advance payment for tutoring fees. She stared at the 100 red RMB notes inside the envelope, too shocked to say a word. Actually, both in my past life and this life, the Gu family never skimped on basic food, clothing, daily supplies, and living expenses for their adopted daughter. But this small sum of money to Gu Jiyue was more than enough for Song Xiaoli to buy medicine for her grandma, pay hospital bills, and even rent a small apartment off campus to stay away from her abusive father. After arranging the next day's tutoring time with the class monitor, I went back home. The fancy villa was completely empty. Father Gu was out on business banquets. Mother Gu went to the beauty salon for skincare treatments. As for Gu Jiyue, he's probably eating at the Zhou family's place right now. In my past life, Gu Jiyue asked the driver to take me home, and my adoptive parents from the Zhou family saw us. They warmly invited him to stay for dinner. Then, just like the standard plot in a romance drama, that one dinner made the young master, who grew up in the cold, unfeeling wealthy family, feel the warm family bond of a poor working-class family. The simple, honest smiles always on the Zhou couple's faces. The small, shabby but cozy home full of life. All made Gu Jiyue yearn for that kind of life. And he grew even fonder of the pure, innocent little white flower from this kind of family. Right at this moment, even though he and Zhou Shiman are eating plain, grease-free food, deep down, they're probably both really happy. I slowly changed into my Hermes nightgown, washed my face with Chanel facial cleanser, and ate a bowl of rock sugar bird's nest brought up by the nanny. A cold sneer curled at the corner of my mouth. No one knows. The Zhou couple are indeed poor, but they are far from kind and honest. The couple value sons over daughters. They originally wanted to adopt a boy, but the orphanage had no able-bodied boys available at all, so they settled for the next best option and decided to pick a pretty daughter so they could marry her off to a rich man later. When they saw Gu Jiyue send their daughter home, the couple was boiling with excitement. They immediately dragged this potential ideal son-in-law into their house and treated him really well. That so-called family love, that so-called cozy home vibe, was all just an act. And in my past life, when I told them I didn't want to marry Gu Jiyue, my adoptive mother locked me in my room. My adoptive father used a table leg and a belt to beat me half to death. Zhou Shiman thinks she's entered heaven in this life, but she has no idea there's no real heaven in this world. The Gu family is a wealthy hell. The Zhou family is a poor hell. Who can crawl out of hell alive? All depends on their own capabilities. In the days that followed, Gu Jiyue's malice got worse and worse. When I opened the lunchbox that the nanny prepared for me, it was filled to the brim with thumbtacks. When I squeezed my facial cleanser and toothpaste, dead spiders would come out. The dresses in my wardrobe were burned full of tiny holes by cigarette butts. And every time I looked up in shock, I would meet Gu Jiyue's mean, sneering face. He mouthed at me, "Gu Shichu, you deserve this." Gu Jiyue thought I would cry, but I just calmly poured out all the thumbtacks, threw the spiders into the trash can, folded the dresses and put them away. The smile on Gu Jiyue's face disappeared immediately. He stared at me fiercely, speaking almost through gritted teeth. "Let's see how long you can keep pretending." Luckily this time, even though I have to put up with Gu Jiyue's malice, all the Gu family's resources are also at my disposal. I don't have to live the life where I go to school during the day and am forced to work for my adoptive mother at night anymore. Instead, there's a nanny taking care of me. A driver drives me everywhere I go. I just need to focus on my studies. In my past life, when I wanted to buy extra study materials, I had to save up money for a really long time. I even had to make sure my adoptive father didn't take my cash to buy booze or gamble with it. But now my closet is full of designer dresses and skirts. My jewelry box holds pieces from Van Cleef & Arpels and Cartier. Mrs. Gu gave all these to me casually. I don't have to pay for any of them myself. On top of that, I get 50,000 yuan in pocket money at the start of every month, in cash, plus a credit card with a 100,000 yuan limit. If I run out of money, I just have to tell the housekeeper, and more money will be transferred to my card within half an hour. But all the hardship I went through in the past is now all happening to Joshiman. I notice she sleeps through all her classes, since she has to work for her adoptive mom at night and never gets enough sleep. Gradually, she stopped doing her homework and handed in blank exam papers. In my past life, I survived on black coffee. When I was super tired, I'd prick myself with a compass. I fought tooth and nail to keep studying. But in her past life, Joshiman was a well-coddled rich young lady from a privileged family. She doesn't have that same drive and persistence. Not to mention, she doesn't care about school at all. In her opinion, being the fiancé of the Gu family's heir is way more valuable than getting into Tsinghua or Peking University. So Joshiman put all her energy into figuring out how to make Gujiyu like her more. She skips listening in math class and secretly writes diaries meant just for Gujiyu under the desk. She skips dance rehearsals, sneaks out of school with Gujiyu to go for drives in the suburbs and watch the stars together. Then right before the dance performance, she sat outside the rehearsal room crying. I bet Joshiman specifically studied how female leads in idol dramas cry. She tilted her head 45 degrees up at the sky, holding tears in her eyes, trying stubbornly not to let them fall when Gu Jue walked by and spotted her. She threw herself into Gu Juyu's arms and burst out sobbing loudly. Shiwei, I lost my spot to perform on stage. All the girls in the class get to perform. Only Gu Shichu won't let me join. Gu Jue already hated me to the core, and he got furious the second he heard that. Why, she said, my mom is just a cleaner. My dad is just a security guard. I can't even afford a performance costume. So I don't deserve to be on stage. Gu Shu's face got darker and darker. He looked at Zhou Shimen, who was sobbing so hard she could barely breathe, and said in a low voice, It's just a performance costume, right? I'll buy it for you. No, that's 800 yuan apiece. I can't take such an expensive gift from you. How dare Gu Shichu act like this? He spat out the words in anger. After all, she's your little sister. She's the eldest young lady of the Gu family. Your family donated several buildings in this school. Your dad is also an honorary school director. Even if the teachers know she's bullying people, what can they even do about it? Cho Shiman didn't notice that. Just then, reporters who came to the school to do interviews were passing right behind her. One poked his head over. The reporter was like a shark that smelled blood and asked sharply, bullying. What bullying are you talking about? Just like that, the whole thing blew up out of nowhere. In the school's largest conference room, a huge crowd of people was standing around. The principal, vice principals, and dean of students, homeroom teachers, and reporters from various newspapers, and both the Gu and Zhou family parents were all present. Zhou's father and mother were shielding a tear-streaked Zhou Shiman. They stood in a corner of the conference room, their faces full of grievance and anger. Mr. and Mrs. Gu got the call at first, and when they heard I was in trouble, they didn't want to come at all. It wasn't until they heard that the newly appointed Bureau of Education director was also there that they rushed over in a hurry. Jiangcheng No. 1 High School is the best high school in the city. It's also a key model school for the Bureau of Education. Mr. Gu clearly was old friends with the bureau director. He walked right over to the director as soon as he entered the room and spoke tactfully. This is such a small issue. I can't believe it even alarmed Director Li. It's really just a silly fight between kids. But the bureau director was very upright and principled, and didn't buy this excuse at all. Mr. Gu, bullying is never a small issue, no matter the circumstance. I know Gu Shichu is your daughter, but every child is a student to me. They're all saplings. I can't just stand by and watch them grow crooked. With him saying that much, Mr. Gu didn't dare say anything more. He could only force a smile. Yes, you're right. We don't know what happened either. Please go ahead with your investigation. He walked back to Mrs. Gu's side, and the two of them exchanged a quiet glance. I knew exactly what that meant. If the bullying allegations against me were confirmed, the Gu family would abandon me immediately. This adopted daughter they had no real affection for, and cut ties with me completely. Even Gu's parents are already acting this way. As for Gu Jiyue, she stood beside Zhou Shimen, who was sobbing nonstop, softly comforting her about something. From time to time, she lifted her dark eyes and glanced at me coldly. The principal saw that everyone had arrived, so he spoke up and asked Zhou Shiman, Classmate Joe, tell us what's going on. Jo Shaman raised her red, tear-swollen eyes and quietly repeated what she had told Gu Jiu earlier. The reporters were already filled with righteous indignation. One of them spoke first. We did our homework before coming here. Gu Shichu and Jo Shimin used to be friends at the same orphanage. They even called each other sisters for a while. Later, Gu Shichu was adopted by Gu Group. But Jo Shimin's adoptive parents are just ordinary school staff. Did Gu Shichu get into a rich family and just get to bully her former friend and take opportunities that rightfully belonged to her? Dead silence followed. All the reporters had their eyes fixed on me. The red dots on the cameras kept flashing. Everyone was dying to dig up a juicy scoop. After all, this is a very sensitive social topic. Right now, social classes are gradually becoming rigid. If kids from wealthy families keep taking educational resources that should go to poor kids and blocking their path to upward mobility, that would be enough to spark huge public anger. Not to mention the two main characters of this story are me and Jo Shiman, such a dramatically contrasting pair. In the office so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I suddenly snickered out loud. The sound was really abrupt. All the reporters looked at each other in confusion.